Before we get started, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and hit that notification button so you never miss a video. Hey, Disney family, it's Jessica from Well Hello Magic. Today we are going to be covering all things Genie Plus at Disney's Hollywood Studios. In my opinion, this is one of the most tricky parks because it has so many high demand rides. It also only has 2 rides that don't have any height requirements. So if you have toddlers like I do, it can be very tricky. However, it's a park that has so many unique experiences that it doesn't matter what age you are, you can have a full park day. And honestly, one park day is only going to scratch the surface. So get ready. This webinar should only be about 40 minutes. We are going to go over everything that has to deal with Disney's Hollywood Studios and Genie Plus. So here's what you should take away from today. I'm going to give you some Genie Plus basics. I'm going to teach you how to use Genie Plus. Then we are going to learn how to build a strategy that works for your family. Remember, every Disney vacation is different. No 2 vacations look alike. I will go over some strategies that my family uses, but hopefully you'll get enough tips and tricks that you will be able to plug and play what will work for your family. The biggest thing I'm going to teach you here is that there is always a solution and you have to pivot plans. Disney is not the place to come and feel like you have to stay on a specific itinerary. You will be very disappointed. I will teach you how to isolate what are the most important things for your family and then execute to make sure that those top priorities are taken care of, and then everything else is just a bonus. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jessica. I am not a travel agent. I'm just a Disney kid who has turned into a Disney parent. I wanted to be a Disney blogger a long time ago, but I finally bit the bullet in January of 2022 and decided I was ready to start. I've been going to Walt Disney World for over 30 years. We also go to Disneyland, and we've been to Disneyland Paris. I am a mom of 4, a military wife. We own 2 different Disney Vacation Club contracts. I'm a D23 Gold fan club member, and I love traditions. So holidays always have a little bit of that Disney magic in them, but I love to go a little over the top during the holidays, but I also like just creating traditions within our family. My goal is to help you turn magic into memories by teaching you how to reduce your stress while you're at the park and teaching you how Walt Disney World operates. A lot of times when people get stressed out at the parks, it's mainly because you don't know how to pivot. You don't know what the next move is, or realize that the solution is more simple than you think. So before we get started, it is time to close the door, turn off any distractions, turn off your ringer. We will bring it back out so that way you can look at your phone. But for the next 60 minutes or less, I want your full attention so I can help you best plan your day at Disney's Hollywood Studios. My goal is that the day that you design is perfect for your family, but also that you as the planner gets to enjoy it along with your crew. Because a lot of times if you're the person planning, you're not necessarily the person who's getting to enjoy because you're always trying to plan your next move. I'm hoping that this will help you get a plan in place before you head to the parks, and then you get to enjoy it and be in the moment as well. So before we get started, let's go over the stats of Disney's Hollywood Studios. You can see that there is a map here on the left side of the screen, and I try to keep my maps as updated as possible. If you head to wellhellomagic.com, you will see a section that says park maps and has all the park maps for the US parks. So Disney Hollywood Studios is 135 acres. There are 9 areas or lands. I believe it is the most difficult park to use Genie Plus with, just because so many of the rides sell out early and it has so many high demand rides that people are trying to get on. It also has some of the most unique table service. I really enjoy the table service at Hollywood Studios. Between 50s Prime Time and Sci-Fi Theater and Roundup Barbecue and even Hollywood Round Derby, there's a lot of unique dining experiences that you're going to find inside of this park. It's also the most immersive park, I feel. So you have Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land that completely immerse you into that IP, and it is phenomenal. And then you also have a lot of experiences like Disney Junior Play and Dance, where you get to dance and play with the characters. And honestly, it feels like being in one of the episodes of like Mickey's Clubhouse or something like that. Hollywood Studios actually used to be my second favorite park behind Epcot growing up. And after the pandemic, it just became really difficult to navigate because all that was available was the attractions. Disney, right after the pandemic, really felt like just an amusement park because the magical pieces, the characters, they hadn't come back yet. And so when we would go to Hollywood Studios, it would be so difficult because so much of the magic is found outside of the rides. It has slowly come back and it is definitely becoming one of my favorite parks again. There are some things I wish that would come back, like the Citizens of Hollywood. I feel like those performers could come back because nothing happened to Hollywood Boulevard or Sunset Boulevard. The Osborne show cannot happen, obviously, because now we have the wonderful Galaxy's Edge, but I feel like they could do like something similar over by Grand Avenue where there is like a little street and alley. It'd definitely be on the mini scale, but I really loved that light show. And then I'm so excited that the Little Mermaid show is coming back this year. So Hollywood Studios is definitely returning to its former glory. And I'm sure soon enough it will be bumped back up to number 2 for me. So let's talk about if Genie Plus is worth it at Disney's Hollywood Studios. The average wait time is 42 minutes, and I get all of my information from Thrill Data. It is a very trusted source for me, and they are very accurate. You have to remember, Hollywood Studios only has about 9 main rides, and 42 minutes is the average wait time. So when you are only waiting, 15 to 20 minutes for Alien Swirling Saucers, you're waiting 2 hours for Rise of the Resistance. Using Genie Plus will reduce your wait time by 4 to 6 hours per day. That is guaranteed. It will take off that much time. You get on your top priority rides. And if that is important for you, I definitely recommend that you use Genie Plus. And then do you want to have a solid plan in place? It's nice to have this overview done. That way you have a plan and then you know how to pivot from the plan. And then you want to leave room for magic. So like these are the key questions to ask yourself to decide if Genie Plus is worth it. I think you can get by at every park without Genie Plus, except for Hollywood Studios. The other parks, your day will be difficult. I'm not saying your day is going to be easy. Can you wait in lines all day at the other parks? Sure. But Hollywood Studios, you will be waiting in numerous 1 to 2 hour lines. And I just don't think that that's worth it at all. At least at the other parks, there are some filler rides that have low waits. So you could get away with it. You just wouldn't be able to ride any of the high demand rides. Where Hollywood Studios, like everything is high demand. So I think it does make for a really difficult day if you skip out on Genie Plus. So I know Walt Disney World is very expensive. And I feel that when things cost a lot of money, you start to feel like I need to get my money's worth and you become a maximizer. And that is a problem at Walt Disney World because if you are trying to get on everything because you're thinking only about we've paid for this, we've done this, we need to get on everything, experience everything, your day becomes about getting on rides and you miss out on the magic. For a lot of us older millennials, we were going to Disney in the 80s and 90s and does not look the same. More people go to Disney than ever before. I actually feel like as expensive as Disney is, because it is way more expensive than when it cost when we used to go. I feel like it's become more accessible though for more people, and more people go more often. So the parks are so crowded all the time. So you can't be a maximizer and truly have like a great time. You're just going to be running from ride to ride and be exhausted. If you want a more balanced day, you can be a satisficer and know that you're not going to get on everything. You're going to have a balance of rides, shows, filler activities, and dining experiences, but you're going to actually enjoy your time at the park. That's the difference. You're going to remember it. You're not going to feel so tired and overwhelmed if you just accept the fact that you would rather have a well thought out day that matches your family's wants and needs versus we got to do everything. We have to experience everything. We don't want any Disney FOMO. I can tell you we go to Disney a lot and there are things that we don't get to do every single trip. In a perfect world, this is my balanced Disney day. 50% of my day is rides. 15% of my day is eating, 15% is shows, and 20% is rest. We do take breaks at Hollywood Studios because we believe in getting there super early. We'll take a midday break and then we come back, either have a dinner or we have stacked rides, and then we go watch Fantasmic or one of or the animation show at the Chinese theater. But I can guarantee every day you're going to have 8 experiences. You will be able to plan your top 3 priorities for your family and design your day around those 3 experiences, and you will have 8 experiences. Now, the way that the experiences line up is up to you. If you want your 8 experiences to just be rides, you can get on 8 rides at Hollywood Studios. I'm not saying you can't, but your entire 10-hour day will just be rides. If you want 5 rides guaranteed, a dining experience, and then, Phantasmic, and maybe, building the $30 lightsabers at Tatooine Traders. That's it. I can guarantee those experiences are going to happen if you plan your day the way I'm teaching you how. You will have 8 experiences. You'll have more than 8, but I can guarantee that you can have 8. Hollywood Studios sometimes is tricky because if a lot of rides go down, you have to pivot and pivot and pivot again. And that's what I want you to keep in mind. I don't want you to get discouraged if it feels like a discouraging day, because you can pivot to do something else. There's going to be something else that's more magical for you in that moment than feeling defeated that you aren't able to get on a ride right at that moment. So, unlike the other parks, I actually do break down Hollywood Studios into specific kinds of days because, again, with this park only having 2 rides that don't have height requirements, it is really difficult if you have a baby or toddler. But if you follow me on Instagram, you probably watched our full on toddler day at Hollywood Studios, where we made the day all about our youngest. And it was a full day, morning to night. And we even had to take a 3-hour break in the middle, or none of us would have made it to Phantasmic, because we were there right when early entry started. I think we got in the park at 8:32, and early entry starts at 8:30, and it was a full fun day. So with toddlers, these are the things that you can do. You have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Toy Story Mania, the Dance Party, Beauty and the Beast live on stage, the Lightning McQueen Race Academy, Muppet Vision 3D, dining at Roundup Rodeo. You have a Disney Junior breakfast at Hollywood and Vine. So much to do. And even on our toddler day, we didn't do a couple of those things. So you can have a full day with babies and toddlers at Hollywood Studios, no problem. The day just looks different. Mixed age kids, this is where I land most of the time. So we have our favorites, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Slinky Dog Dash, Toy Story Mania, Star Tours, Building Lightsabers, for the first time in forever, Frozen Sing Along, Smuggler's Run, Alien Swirling Saucers. That is a well balanced day for us. We do have to use Rider Switch, and we do factor that into our day. As you can see, Rise of the Resistance is not on there because for us, it is such a long experience if we have to use Rider Switch. And keep that in mind if you're going to the park with mixed age families or groups, that the experience is 18 minutes in a pre-show, and you come out and have to switch. So by the time you're done doing all that, it's an hour. So if you're using Rider Switch for Rise of the Resistance, block off an hour of time. When the first group is in, the other group can go and do something else. And then same thing when we reverse. The best trips are if you have multiple littles. I went with my best friend January of 22, and it was great because she also had an infant that was 18 months. And so we would sit out together, and then our oldest boys or whoever's going back with us would get Rider Switch, and then we would get to go back together instead of just one of us going by ourselves. So that was really nice that I got to experience it that way. And if you can make your group work like that, if you're traveling with a larger group, that way no one is left out like having to run back in and go ride by themselves. Then you have the high demand rides. I want to get on all of the high demand rides at Rise of the Resistance. And it is possible to get on these at one day, but you will have to probably wait in 1 or 2 of the lines. But Genie Plus will help you get most of these rides. So you have Slinky Dog, which is the number 1 ride at Hollywood Studios in terms of bookings, Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run, Tower Terror, and then again, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Then you have the thrill seekers who want a thrilling, fun day. Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, Slinky Dog Dash, which is not thrilling, but it is a really fun coaster, and it has a little launch. So I love that. Rise of the Resistance, again, not like Scary Thrill. There is like a minor, like, catch you off guard moment. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who doesn't want a spoiler, which is great, but it's just like high energy the whole time. And again, Smuggler's Run is a simulator, but it's like high energy simulator. So even though it's not necessarily a thrill in the traditional sense, it's thrilling as you are stealing that coaxium. So it's a fun ride. And again, you can get all of those. It just takes some, strategy, and then you may have to wait in one or two of those lines. So let's talk about My Disney Experience, which recently got a facelift. So this is what the new hub looks like. This is your hub for everything. Every person needs a My Disney Experience account. Let's get out your phone. And if you don't have this downloaded, go to your app store and search My Disney Experience. It will come up, and let's download that now. You will need to link all of your reservations here. You're going to link your resort, your tickets. You're going to link every member in your party needs to have a profile in order to use Genie Plus, be counted on the room. A lot of times, if you have younger kids, one of the parents are going to manage the kids. And I even manage my parents because they don't want anything to do with technology. So they have their My Disney Experience accounts, and then I manage their profiles. So before you get to the parks, before you get to Walt Disney World, you can have all of this information set up, and I encourage you to do it. That way you feel like, okay, one thing is completely done for the trip, and there's a way to link everyone's accounts. If you get magic bands, they can be linked here. It's it is so important to kind of play in this hub before you get there. Your Genie Plus is now housed under rides, shows, and Lightning Lane entry. So that will be the button you click to access your Genie Plus. And in that hub, you will see, in that little block, you will see your My Day and your tip board. So let's do a little introduction to Genie. So Disney Genie is the free service. Whoever is the one who assigned all the nomenclature to these things, I don't know what they were trying to do, if they were just intentionally trying to make us confused, but it is a little confusing. I even in here have like a typo because I call it Genie Plus and it's really a Lightning Lane. So Disney Genie is a free service. It sends you suggestions based on the preferences that you set in your tip board. So in your tip board, you will see a screen, or on the My Day side, you can also start from there and it'll say start here. And you will go through what your preferences are, and we'll talk more about that as we go further down the line. But that is free. That's where you can see the wait times, the character meet and greet times, the show times. That whole service is free. Genie Plus is a service within Disney Genie. That costs you $15 to $35 per person plus tax. Tax is not included at Walt Disney World. Tax is included at Disneyland. It is important to also know that during the holidays, this can go up to $39. It hasn't officially changed the language on the website, but even this week at spring break, it's $39 at Magic Kingdom. So I always say budget for the highest amount. So budget the $35 plus tax. If you are going during the holidays, Thanksgiving, Easter, spring break time, Christmas time, just go ahead and budget for $39. And then that way, you have the money in the pot that you need in order to pay for Genie Plus. The Genie Plus is used to book Lightning Lane attractions. This is similar to the old Fast Pass or Fast Pass Plus. You will use a Lightning Lane to access your attraction. So Genie Plus is the paid service. The Lightning Lane is what you're going to see when you walk up to the ride, and that is where you're going to walk through because you're paying for Lightning Lanes. This will save you 4 to 6 hours in line. Individual Lightning Lane attractions. Those are going to be the pay per ride at each of the parks. Each park has stated they can have up to 2. We will see what happens when Tiana's Bayou Adventure happens. When I have watched new rides open up, currently what they do is they bump one to Genie Plus. So let's use when Guardians opened, for example. Frozen and Remy used to be the 2 selections for the individual Lightning Lane. They bumped Frozen down onto, or they bumped Remy down to Genie Plus, and they put Guardians in. Frozen was always on the Genie Plus side. I think Remy was the individual Lightning Lane, and they bumped that down into Genie Plus, and then they made Guardians the only individual Lightning Lane at Epcot. Same thing when Tron opened. Tron became an individual Lightning Lane, and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train was already a Lightning Lane. So now Magic Kingdom has two. You can only book two individual Lightning Lanes all day long. Does not matter if you're park hopping, you get two, and that is it. So if you buy one at Magic Kingdom and you're going to Animal Kingdom, you can only buy one at Magic Kingdom, if that makes sense. So you get two per day. That's it. Doesn't matter if you're park hopping to a different park with another. So choose those wisely, especially if you're park hopping. These can be anywhere from $7 to $25 plus tax per person per ride. So your day can get pretty pricey if you're doing Genie Plus on top of an individual Lightning Lane. Then the Lightning Lane is your physical queue. This is where you access your individual Lightning Lanes and your Lightning Lanes. So when you walk up to the ride, you will see a Lightning Lane board, and that is where you walk through. That is your queue. I don't know why we named it Genie Plus, individual Lightning Lane, Lightning Lane. It's confusing, but hopefully this will break it down for you. Here are some other strategies to use in your day. So Hollywood Studios and Epcot are the two parks that I feel like your strategy can change significantly if you rope drop that early entry time. Rope drop is not available to all guests at Hollywood Studios. It's only available to on-site guests at Disney Resort Collection hotels. You can rope drop early entry, which allows Disney Resort Collection hotels and Good Neighbor hotels like the B Resorts and Swan Dolphin, Swan Reserve, Shades of Green, Four Seasons, all to get into the park 30 minutes before opening. It is key to success at Hollywood Studios. It's not key to success at Epcot, but it does change your strategy if you don't use that rope drop time. And the reason we go to Magic Kingdom early is because we like to get those empty park pictures. But if we're not interested in that, we don't have to be at Magic Kingdom early the way that I feel like you should be at Hollywood Studios. The other thing that happens, which is extremely rare, is extended evening hours. I think I saw it happen 3 times last year in 2023, but it has happened. So always just double check just in case if that's available. Before we dive into Genie Plus, I do want to give you 2 other ways to do Hollywood Studios that may help you save a lot of time and get on rides that you want. After hours events at Hollywood Studios are gold because you pay for a ticket. I would not recommend going to a park the same day you do an after hours event. I would suggest resting all day, maybe have some pool time, take a nap, eat a good dinner, and then head to the park for the after hours event. Do not go to the park during the day. And that's for 2 reasons. One, monetarily, I don't think any day at Disney is worth 2 tickets. I don't think paying for a full park day ticket and then an after hours event is ever monetarily worth it. A lot of times it's going to cost you close to $300 per person. And there is no day there that is worth $300. So I always suggest, especially if you have little kids, you got to pick one. And I suggest that too for the parties as well. So the after hour events, you can see the picture on the right. That's actually from an after hour event and not a Moonlight Magic event. And you can see how empty the park is. It is glorious. You will be able to get on every ride that you want. There's unique characters. And then of course there's complimentary ice cream, popcorn, and some beverages. And I mean, you can't beat that. It's a great evening. Then there's Moonlight Magic, which is specifically for Disney Vacation Club members, and it is a great event, but it's free to us. It's very similar to the after hours events. We get snack vouchers. We get 3 vouchers per person. Obviously, that can change at any time, but it requires a pre-registration, and there is 2 registrations. One for if you're staying on property using a DVC room, and then to the general DVC pool. So that is specifically for Disney Vacation Club events. It mimics the after hours events, but we don't have to pay for it. It happens twice a year. So definitely check on the DVC page. But those are 2 great ways to experience Hollywood Studios at its best, honestly. Okay, so let's talk about purchasing Genie Plus. So this is the page that you'll see when you open up your rides, shows, and lightning lane entry. You'll see at the top it says purchase for today to save time waiting in line. It'll take you to this Genie screen, and then it takes you to the variable pricing screen. They started this not too long ago, and I think it is very worth it because sometimes Animal Kingdom is definitely not worth the same as Magic Kingdom. Actually, all the time, it's not. So it is nice that there is variable pricing. I always say if you plan on going to Magic Kingdom, go ahead and buy the multiple park options. I've been watching it a few months and they always seem to be the same price. So then that way you have a choice to hop if you have a hopper ticket. But you can see on this day, Hollywood Studios is $22. Then you're going to select your party and then you will go through the purchasing. You can have up to 12 people on each Genie Plus account. So if you have over 12 people, just remember you are going to have 2 people booking. You can purchase Genie Plus at 12 a.m., but I usually do it from 6 to 6:30. The only time that I do it at 12 a.m. is if I'm up doing what I call is the Disney second shift when you're prepping for the next day, or if it's during a super busy holiday week. So Thanksgiving and Christmas week, those are the times where I do purchase it at 12 because it has sold out during those times. So Genie Plus can sell out. Keep that in mind. It's not going to sell out in July or September or August or January. I've never had that happen. It's going to be on those super crowded weekends like Thanksgiving, Christmas, maybe even some spring break times. Today, Genie Plus sold out at all the parks except for Magic Kingdom. So those are the times when I will pay for it at 12 o'clock. It is also plus tax. At Disneyland, tax is included. At Walt Disney World, it is not included. So it is not just a straight $15 or $25. And again, I have the $39 price there because that is during the holidays. We have seen it get that high. Okay. So let's talk about Genie Plus in your top picks. So on your top pick screen, it's easy to skip because you can see the button there says skip for now. Don't do that. At Hollywood Studios, I always recommend putting the 1 or 2 rides that are the most important to you on top picks and don't put anything else, because what that will do is it will put it at the top of your screen. As you see, I have alien swirling saucers there, not really a top pick, but just an example. And if you wanted to get on something like Slinky Dog, S is really far down, and all of these are listed in alphabetical order. What this will do is it will put Slinky Dog at the top, and then that way, when you're going to book at 7 a.m., it is at the very top of your screen. You can click it down, book it, and it's a lot easier than having to scroll and look through your phone. That's also an advantage you will have over people who didn't do the research on Genie Plus. They won't realize that is the case. And then you can see other experiences to consider. I always mark characters as one of mine because we love characters. And so that's why it's recommending that I go see Beauty and the Beast live on stage, because it might be something that we will enjoy. The only individual lightning lane currently at Hollywood Studios is Rise of the Resistance. It is an 18-minute experience. This ride goes down a lot. It has 27 different checkpoints. And if multiple of those checkpoints are failing, they can't run the ride. There is an A and B mode at Walt Disney World. They do run it in B mode a lot. If you have never been on it, you would not notice. If you have been on it, you will notice the differences. A mode, when it's fully functional, is just like phenomenal. In B mode, it's still a great ride if it's in B mode, but A mode is it's just awesome. So let's talk about the rules of Genie Plus, and we'll go through this flow chart. So the first thing that everyone needs to know is at 7 a.m., everyone can book. You can be at home, you could be boarding a plane, you could be on resort, off resort. Everyone at 7 a.m. has the same opportunity to book their first lightning lane selection. On-property guests can also book their individual lightning lane at 7 a.m. Everyone can attempt for the virtual queue at 7 a.m. as well if you're planning on park hopping. I don't 100% suggest this just in case you get an early time. And with Tron, they are very strict about return times. With Guardians of the Galaxy, they're a little bit more flexible, but what that does is sometimes the line is up to an hour to an hour and a half if everyone waits to go and claim that. But you still can park hop. You can still get your virtual queue. There's no time restriction on that. You can only hold one virtual queue at a time as well. Off property guests can book any available individual lightning lanes at park opening. So during holidays, a lot of times it's going to sell out before the park opens. And that's just a reality. But there are little drops that happen throughout the day, especially if the ride is running smoothly. So check every now and then. If you are determined to get an individual lightning lane, you need to be on your phone as soon as the park opens, a little bit before, 5 minutes before, and make sure that you are ready to go to book any individual lightning lanes that are left available. At Walt Disney World, you will be able to select the time. So it'll take a little bit longer because in the morning you're going to see what times are available and you're going to have to pick a time. So you need to be kind of quick with them. Everyone can book their second Genie Plus selection at first tap or 2 hours after the park opens. Okay. So the example that I give you, this is the most confusing rule for people, but it's actually pretty simple. And now on the Genie Plus app, it tells you when you can book next. So you're not calculating anything like we did when it first rolled out. And I think the first time I used it was November of 2021, I believe, is when we used it. It was that Christmas break. We went right after Thanksgiving, and that was the first time we used it. And Genie Plus was a little bit of a mess then, but I think they've really done a good job with it now. So let's say at 7 a.m. we select Genie Plus and we don't get a return time till 4, and then we book an individual lightning lane for Rise of the Resistance around 11:30. We know Disney's Hollywood Studios opens at 9 a.m., so I'm going to be able to book next at 11. That is the tricky thing for almost everyone. If you immediately hit the 2-hour rule, the 120-minute rule, because your return time is later in the afternoon, it is not 2 hours from the time you booked. It is 2 hours from when the park has opened. So you are not going to be able to book another ride until 11 o'clock. And a lot of times, if you're going after another high demand ride, that high demand ride, like in this example, I booked Smuggler's Run at 11 and I get a 2 p.m. return time. And I've already hit that 2-hour rule again. So that's the one thing you have to consider with Hollywood Studios and why I always encourage rope drop. Because if you can rope drop, and depending on what rides you go to, you can definitely knock out 1 to 2 in the morning. You'll have your one Genie Plus selection booked. If Rise is on your list, you have that booked. So that's 4 rides. That's not bad at all, especially going into the park knowing you have those 4 and that there's a lot of shows and dining experiences at Hollywood Studios. So then, you're able to book your next lightning lane at 2 p.m. or as soon as you tap in with that. And then at 2 p.m. at that point, the gaps for high demand rides are pretty big. So at this point, we're going to our hotel and taking a break. So I either will start stacking rides for the evening for when we return before we go see Fantasmic, or I will look for what's like the next ride available. So like Star Tours usually doesn't have a huge gap between its sellout time and return time. Or, maybe we go watch Frozen sing along or something like that. So you just have to decide what's important. But Hollywood Studios, of all the parks, that's going to be the hardest to get return times that are closer because everyone is going after those super popular rides and they don't have a lot of rides at Hollywood Studios. So let's start talking about your game plan. So if you are a Disney Resort Collection hotel guest, you have the option of early entry. You have the individual lightning lane advantage. You need to be there 45 minutes before early entry hours if you want to get on Rise of the Resistance. If you want to get on anything else, you can just arrive 15 to 20 minutes before early entry. And that's just because they usually let people in early. Off-site guests, your advantages are a little bit limited at Hollywood Studios, but you still have the 7 a.m. booking at Genie Plus. Individual lightning lanes at park opening, and as long as it's not a holiday season, you should be able to snag Rise of the Resistance. It usually sells out pretty early, but it's usually open. It's usually available by park opening. Then, use those filler shows and dining experiences to fill out your day. If you don't want to see the evening shows, Hollywood Studios does have 2 evening shows that are running at the same time, and wait times drop significantly during that time. So if you want to use that to your advantage, you definitely can, but that would require you missing the evening show. And as long as you're okay with that, because let's say the rides are most important to you, you can do that. Now, I will tell you, I do not advise you to wait on Rise of the Resistance. So I'm recording this. It's 8:39. Hollywood Studios is going to close in 20 minutes. Fantasmic is playing right now. Alien Swirling Saucers is 5 minutes. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, 5 minutes. Millennium Falcon, 15 minutes. Slinky Dog is not available right now. Star Tours is 5 minutes. Toy Story Mania, 15 minutes. The Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, 30 minutes. So a lot of those rides are very available. Let's look at Star Wars Rise of the Resistance right now. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance standby line says 5 minutes, and I do not believe my eyes, but it says 5 minutes, and it even has Lightning Lane still available for purchase for $25. So, and the next, it says 8:20, it's 8:40 right now. But okay, so that just goes to show you during the shows, it's always a good idea to get on some rides. However, if it is Rise of the Resistance, again, I don't recommend waiting for that ride just because it could be broken down. And if it is broken down at park close, they will not try to get it up for people to ride. So I don't recommend waiting for that one. But any of the other ones, when the shows are happening, it is the best time to hop on. So let's talk about sellout order. So this means this is the order in which the rides are not available to book anymore with Genie Plus. So in the morning, Slinky Dog Dash, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, Tower of Terror. Afternoon, U.S. Smuggler's Run, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Toy Story Mania, Meeting Olaf. And then you have evening, or they rarely sell out, and these are Alien Swirling Saucers, Indiana Jones. So the shows eventually just come to an end because they're not playing. So you need to look at the last showtime available. So usually I have a category that says do not use Genie Plus, and I don't have that at Hollywood Studios. I feel like every ride can use Genie Plus at Hollywood Studios. So what I have is a use later or wait for the ride. So Star Tours, if it's only a 20 minutes wait and you can book something else with Genie Plus, wait the 20 minutes for Star Tours and book something else with Genie Plus. Disney Junior Play and Dance, I can't tell you not to use it for those things, because if it is Christmas time or Thanksgiving, you may have to wait 2 shows before you get in there, and the shows are 20 minutes. So I would say, yeah, I'm going to book that if that's a priority, because I don't want to wait 40 minutes for this, 20-minute show. But a lot of times, if you get in line, you're only waiting for that show in front of you to end, and you're going to get in pretty quickly. So that's why I'm like, use it late. Use it if you're desperate. Use it if it's the holidays. Don't absolutely waste your Genie Plus on that, because a line is not worth that. And my kids have a very low threshold for waiting in line. So that's why I say that. But I don't have a do not use for Genie Plus here, because every ride at some point gets some crazy line at Hollywood Studios, depending on the season. So let's plan a realistic Disney day at Hollywood Studios. So we're going to identify our top 3 Genie priorities for our family. We're going to list any shows or parades or dining experiences that we have booked. Then we're going to decide if we're going to purchase any individual Lightning Lanes, and then decide if the group wants to take a midday break, which I highly recommend, especially because you will be rope dropping if you want to stay for the nighttime shows. If you don't want to stay for nighttime shows, then just plan on leaving after dinner. Like, you don't have to stay the whole day. You can get there in the morning and have, your 10-hour day and then go back to your room. But if you want to see Fantasmic, then, you need to do that. Or I can't think off the top of my head right now what the animation show is called, like the official name. But that also is a really great show too that plays on the Chinese theater. Then decide on any strategies and make a list of filler activities, and then leave room for magic, because that is the key here. So we're going to do a mock day, which, yes, it's a mock day, but it's a day I've lived many times. So I pretty much know how this goes. And that 11:45 p.m. should say a.m. So you're going to have your top 3 priorities. Slinky Dog, my kids love. We love Rise. We love Smugglers. Clearly, this is not a toddler day. So we'll make sure to take care of her, or we will put her with like a theme park nanny that will take her around and do some little kids rides while we knock out these big ones. Then we love table service. We love doing Hollywood and Vine, and we're going to throw in the Fantasmic package with this. That way we have a reserved seating spot at the show. Then some filler things we want to do: Disney Junior Plane Dance, Animation Courtyard, Fantasmic, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. You see we have rope drop there. Just some notes on some treats when we're going to take a midday break, and then a couple more filler activities for my family. So at this point, when you have written all this out, I usually write this out in a thing called a 5-day outlook that I sell in my shop. But you can just write this out on a piece of paper too. But I plan the day out. And then the next thing I do is grab a map. And on my website, and I'll link it in the notes below, I have all of the newest maps. I stay up to date on the maps on my website, and I plan with the map. I pin everything, and I see where we're going to have to go, where we're going to have to walk. That way I know where everything is located. At this point, I am the map, but when I was still just going once a year, this is what I would do. This is what I suggest you do as well. That way you get familiar with it. Because if you know that, okay, I'm going to enter the park and that's Hollywood Boulevard, and I'm going to rope drop Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway, I know I just head straight down Hollywood Boulevard, park the stroller, and get in line. And that will help you. And then it's like, oh, we're done early. Let's go try to get Toy Story Mania. You know you're going to exit and go to the right, and Toy Story Land is over there, and Toy Story Mania will be, the first ride on your left. So it's things like that that help you maximize your time because you know where you're going. Even if you're not familiar with the park, if you study your map, you'll start to like, oh, okay, I remember that landmark. I remember where that is. So always plan with a map. The most important thing I feel like with Genie Plus, you need to understand sellout order versus return time. Rides are going to sell out at a certain time, but that might mean your return time is later. So you want to know, okay, if this ride sells out at 3 o'clock, that means it is sold out for the whole day. That means it is sold out until 8:40. Like every time is gone for this ride. So if I am waiting to book till 2 o'clock, I'm going to get an evening time. So that's why it's important to understand that, especially if you have littles, because if Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is important and you're like, oh, we'll book that third, and I tell you it sells out by 3 o'clock, you're booking a nighttime time for the ride, and you're probably not going to make it with your toddler. So just always keep that in mind. And that's why picking the order you book in based on sellout order is also really important. And you can see here, I had a sweet stack this day. We had Millennium Falcon, and then Rise of the Resistance, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and I even think we modified that Millennium Falcon to get it down by Rise. So it was great. So in my Magic Clubhouse, I try to do this every 2 weeks. At least get it up once a month. Sometimes it's a lot of work, but this is what I put in for each park. So this is the most recent one. This is Disney's Hollywood Studios. This is a sellout order. So I have the average weekly cost, which is $28, and the Rise of the Resistance on average this week sold out by 10:18. So there were still times available for those who were off property. And so you were still able to book, but then it was gone by 10:18. Top sellouts this week. Slinky Dog Dash, $7.19. That 19 minutes, y'all. 19 minutes after it opened, it was gone. That is the most popular ride at Hollywood Studios. It's the most popular with Genie Plus. If that is important to you, you need to get it right away. And just know most of you are going to hit the 2-hour rule because most of you are not going to get before 11 o'clock when it sells out at 7:19. Then by 1:47, Tower of Terror was gone. Millennium Falcon at 3:33. Mickey and Minnie's by 3:45, Toy Story Mania by 3:52, Olaf by 4:22, Alien Swirling Saucers by 4:48. Average wait time, or the longest average wait time, was Slinky Dog Dash at 105 minutes. Overall wait time was about 40 minutes. So Slinky Dog and Rise of the Resistance go back and forth on wait times of who is the longest average. And you have to think 105 minutes is the average wait time, which is absolutely insane. That means that's the middle. So if you are like me, I like to have like a plan made. So this is my daily plan and my booking order. I also sell this sheet in my shop, or you get it with some of the other things that I sell. It comes with it. but this is how I plan out my day. I'll list our top priorities. I will put an attraction list. So it's like, these are other things we want to do, characters we want to meet and their locations. And then because I do use a service called Standby Skipper, I added it on the spreadsheet to drop down so that you can put it on. Hollywood Studios, I always use Standby Skipper. So that's why you'll see Slinky Dog ASAP, Smugglers ASAP, Toy Story Mania, Alien Swirling Saucers, because I want Standby Skipper to book those for me. And that's a different webinar on my YouTube channel. But you can see I also filled in just a general idea of what the day is. And in this timeline, I put mock times that happen so you can get a better idea of what a Hollywood Studios day looks like. So on this day, we would have rope drop. We go straight to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. We would have gotten to the park at 8:15, and then we go straight there, and then we would have gone to Toy Story. We probably would have waited in line like 20 minutes to Toy Story. Then we would go and meet Olaf after that, because we have breakfast at Hollywood and Vine, or that late, lunch at Hollywood, or early lunch, late breakfast. Lunch turns over at 11:30, so you see like both characters, but they don't come to you. Then we would head to the Disney Junior Play and Dance, and we wait in line because we probably would be in a 2-hour wait. We'd meet characters at Animation Courtyard. We'll get on Star Tours about 1:30 because we could probably wait for that. Usually I don't see longer than 30 minutes. With the new scenes, I don't know if it's going to make it more popular. So just be aware of that. It has new like Ahsoka and Mandalorian scenes, which may make it more popular. Then you have the individual Lightning Lane of Rise of the Resistance. You have Slinky Dog that finally comes up. Toy Story Mania in the evening. And so you can kind of see how it looks. And then also I put like what the booking time would have been. So I would have gotten Smuggler's Run at 2 by booking around 11. I got Slinky Dog at 3 by my 7 a.m. booking. My 2 p.m. booking, I got Toy Story Mania at 7, because remember on that last screen, I just told you that Toy Story Mania sold out at 3:52. So it's not unlikely if I'm booking at 2 o'clock that I'm going to get a 7 p.m. time. And then Alien Swirling Saucers also sold out by almost 5 o'clock. So if I'm booking at 4 o'clock, I'm probably going to get a 7:30, 8 o'clock time. Now, remember, you have an hour window from that time. So when it says it's booked for 7:30, you have from 7:30 to 8:30 to get on the ride. So you have an hour window, and there actually is buffer time. You can get on about 5 minutes before your time and 15 minutes after. If you have a dining experience and a ride at the same time, go to your dining experience always. Take your receipt and take it to the ride, and they'll let you on, no problem. So here are some other strategies that I use to maximize my day at Hollywood Studios. Stacking rides. I will do that, especially in the evenings. I will stack those rides because that is what is easier to do, especially when you're hitting that 120 minute rule. I do not stream rides, which means booking one ride after the other, because it's not possible at Hollywood Studios. It really is not. You may get lucky and get to book 2 back to back in the mornings, but it's not possible. So that's why I put a big X through it. And so, it's just not one of the strategies here. And then Standby Skipper is 100% my strategy. When I do have Standby Skipper and put Slinky Dog in ASAP in the morning, and it's the only thing that I input, I've never gotten it later than 11 a.m. And so I will use Standby Skipper every single time, especially at Hollywood Studios. One of the best changes that Walt Disney World has done has been adding the modify and canceling button for Genie Plus, so you can modify your time. Sometimes if you like keep refreshing, you can like bump a time up. And so that's really nice. But again, that's like luck, availability. It doesn't happen. It's not like a guarantee, but it does happen actually more times than not when I'm trying to do that. But modifying is wonderful. Also, if you need to cancel Genie Plus because you're not going to go, that's also another button that's now on there. You can just cancel it, because you have to remember every single person has to tap in. If every person does not tap in, you cannot book another Lightning Lane. So let's say like 3 people decided to stay out, but they didn't go tap in. You need to cancel those people on the Lightning Lane selection that they have so that you can book the next one. The other thing is, it is possible to have overlapping plans. I have overlapping plans all the time. It's not like FastPass that would not allow you to have overlapping plans. Or remember when you had the big groups and then your time was like split because it couldn't take all those people. That doesn't happen with Genie Plus. It actually, the screen is different. So if you have 12 people and I have 2 people, we don't have the same return times. So that has been confirmed. I've even done it with my family when we go in big groups, and it is showing different times, and it makes sense because then you're all writing together and not having to do the whole split time thing that FastPass Plus used to do. Writer Switch and Genie Plus. So this is my son setting up his Writer Switch at Slinky Dog. We had a lightning lane for this ride. And so only he had to go and set up his Writer Switch. If we were going in standby, I would have to also do it and he would have to do it. And then the rest of the party would just go. Because basically, what they do with Writer Switch is give you an additional lightning lane. Unfortunately, since post pandemic, they only let one child go back with you. So just depending on your group makeup, what we usually do, if it's just like my husband and I, we just do traditional Writer Switch. If we are with like a group of friends, what we'll do is like me and maybe my friend that's with me, we stay back, and then one of my kids and one of their kids will set up Writer Switch, and then we can all four go ride together. That way, like one person isn't just by themselves. So that's what we do when we're in a larger group. 2 of us will stay back. It really worked out great. I went with my best friend from childhood. She also had a toddler, so it was really nice because we both would stay out together, and then we both would go back with our oldest boys or our middle one of the middle kids, and that was really fun because she and I got to experience everything together. The last thing, and why I really push for you to not overplan or overschedule your day, is because you want to have some downtime, you want some filler activities, and you want to leave room for magic. Hollywood Studios is returning back to the Hollywood Studios that I loved, and there are a lot more characters that are meeting there, and that's, part of the magic. I hope one day they'll bring back things like the Citizens of Hollywood. I don't know if they will, but if you are constantly running from ride to ride, you're missing like those opportunities for magic to happen, or just to like happen upon the beginning of the Beauty and the Beast show live and you can grab a seat and just go watch it. So leave space for filler activities and downtime. Hollywood Studios also has a couple of unique experiences that you could schedule, like booking the Droid Depot or Savvy's Workshop, or building the $30 lightsabers at Tatooine Traders, and like things like that. Like, you just leave some room for magic to happen. And then my biggest thing is pivot, pivot, pivot. Disney says that you can get 2 to 3 additional rides with using Genie Plus. At most any other park, I can get way more than that. At Hollywood Studios, I typically can get 3 high demand and then use it for some filler attractions. If for some reason you're not booking anything, you're having like the worst luck, Genie Plus is not working, and you're not getting any value out of it, if you do not get on at least 2 rides using Genie Plus, go to guest relations and they will refund it. You have to get your value out of it. Don't just walk out the park and be defeated because you only got on 1 ride. If Rise of the Resistance is broken down all day, you can also get a refund. That is why I only do the individual lightning lane for Rise of the Resistance, because I don't waste my time. So if it's working and I can get in the lightning lane and go ride, great. If it's not working and I don't get it, I'll get my refund, and that's also great. So that's part of the reason why I really push to like always get the individual lightning lane for Rise of the Resistance. Make sure you're getting your value out of Genie Plus. Disney says 2 to 3 rides a day. I can guarantee that you could get 3 high demand rides and then use it for some fillers, if you use these strategies that we have in place or that you learned during this webinar. So one last thing before you go, I always like to talk about my planning community, Magic Made Easy. If you are learning to be a travel agent, if you are someone who just is like falling in love with Disney, if you have never been before, Magic Made Easy is for you. It is literally a complete overview of Walt Disney World. You get every single guide, product, everything that I sell, park guides, templates, all the templates that you saw. I have way more templates in my shop. That all comes with Magic Made Easy. That is the umbrella for everything that I create, and you get that for life. It's a one-time payment. You also get access to the Magic Members Forum, where I do that weekly update. So this is all the components. So you have simple chapters. There are 8 chapters that go over everything from dining to enchanted extras to landscapes of all the parks, how to plan your day, all the supplies that you need for your vacation. It's very in depth. It has a checklist, so it makes it less overwhelming. I also link all the blogs, the podcasts, the YouTube videos inside of that course. So if you're looking for resort reviews, they're all going to be linked in one place. So that's like the beautiful thing. It's more of the organization. And then obviously the park guides for each park, the Magic members community, which has a couple hundred people in it, and they also can answer questions too, if you have them. Then the weekly updates, I do send weekly updates of like Disney news in there. Then access to, like I said, webinars, guides, all Q&As, you get that. And then I always offer like a quarterly Zoom if anyone wants to like plan over Zoom and just kind of do it with me. Then, of course, the Magic Clubhouse, that is free, and you get access to the Magic members community there. So that is free. And then I'll link these like YouTube videos in there. And I also do Q&As in there like twice a year. So some next steps for you are just follow me on all of my socials. I have a lot of them. So Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, the podcast, YouTube. I do have TikTok, but I don't really use it. And then my blog. They're all different. So Instagram is where you're going to see me daily. Facebook gets the Instagram reels, but what I love about Facebook is that I can schedule all the posts for the week from blogs, from the podcast. So if you just want to be able to go somewhere and click on the link and access it, that Facebook is where you go. Pinterest is where I plan my stuff, my outfits, and you'll see a bunch of my pins on there too. My podcast is actually my second most popular platform, which is surprising sometimes that so many people listen to it, but I'm very grateful for that. So definitely check me out on all major podcasting networks. And then obviously my YouTube, I am currently building, and that has that's just Disney lifestyle. So you'll have the planning information like the video you're watching today, but then you'll also have cookie videos that are over Disney history. You'll have like we're collecting doorables right now, so like you'll see us like unboxing those and go over those. A lot of my packing strategies, things you need for vacations, that's on there too. And then TikTok, we'll see what happens with it. And then my blog is the hub for everything. Don't forget to sign up for my monthly newsletter. I do like a monthly recap of all the updates and what you can expect from Disney, and I also link a lot of the things that you missed from the month. But most of all, enjoy the magic. Walt Disney World is such a magical place. We have traveled all over. We've been to 5 continents now. And, the only place that we are like, we keep going back to is Walt Disney World. And there's just something about going on an adventure with your family that is kind of rooted in make believe and then attractions and shows. It just is, it's a magical place. My parents still act like, kids when they go there. So I love it. But again, thank you so much for watching. If you made it through this whole video, I hope you feel more confident in navigating Hollywood Studios and you have a more realistic idea of how to navigate Hollywood Studios, which is my ultimate goal. I'm so grateful that you're here and have a magical rest of your day. If you found that video useful, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you real soon.